Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and according to Zillow, according to Fred, home builders are continuing to build and start houses even faster than before, which means new home builders right now can absolutely just not control themselves. So in the face of the banking collapse, in the face of potential tighter restrictions in commercial lending, and in the face of overwhelming unaffordability, that's right, you guys, builders continue to build and start projects at a historical rate. So that's what we're going to jump into today. We're going to look at a Zillow article. Then I'm going to update you guys on the 3 Fred economic data charts just to show you exactly what's going on with new home building right now, because you guys remember that I believe, and this is why I traveled around the nation. We really can't, believe investors and realtors, and that's why I bought that plane ticket. But I traveled around the nation, Seattle, Phoenix, Austin, Las Vegas, and I was able to find a substantial amount of existing homes or homes under construction, various phases of construction, without any buyers. So I believe one of the leading catalysts in our housing market crash is going to come from overexposed builders. So we're going to keep an eye on that whole trend, that whole situation of new home builders, and really we're going to watch it play out through this year and through next year. And if you guys can't understand, you guys already know I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a normal person who has lost everything already. So I know a lot what not to do, even though my bio is as a realtor, it is as a loan officer, it is as an instructor in real estate in here in the great state of Texas. And if you guys can, like this video. Can you guys just please like this video? Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Shoot me some comments below. But either way, you guys, let's get started on this article right now. So the name of the article is February Housing Starts. Housing starts increase more than expected as builder confidence is edging higher. Again, they had the same confidence in 2008 before we had a total housing market collapse and new home builders got absolutely crushed. Absolutely crushed. But the starts are increasing at a pace that really no one expected. And unfortunately, what they're not realizing is a lot of it is vacant. The vacancy rate is skyrocketing. The increase in builder confidence and housing starts are signs housing demand is thawing from last year's deep freeze. Or it's a sign that they believe that's going to happen and they're putting their money where their mouth is. So props to them for putting their money where their mouth is. Let's look a little bit more what this is saying. All right, starting with the first bullet point, housing starts increased. What? Housing starts actually increased in February to 1.45 million. Up, you guys, almost 10%. Okay, up almost 10% from January's revised estimate, but down 18.4% from February 2022, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Number 2, housing permits issued in February increased as well to 1.52 million. That is 13.8% above January's level, but still down 17.9% when compared to a year ago. So compared to a year ago, they have slowed down, but that only lasted for a little bit, and now they're speeding up again. So I just think that's going to give us, I think that's going to benefit us as potential homeowners on the sideline. But 1.56 million homes were completed in February, up again 12.2% from January, but again down over 12.8%. So this is crazy. So everything is up. So starts are up, permits issued are up, completed homes are up. This is good because we need inventory. I believe it's going to be bad for them though, but we need inventory. Let's look a little bit more what's going on here. And again, when I'm done reading this, we're going to jump into historical charts and to just kind of really dig in on how much overbuilding is actually going on. Although housing has fallen, thank you for acknowledging that, Zillow. It took you a long time, but thank you. Although housing demand has fallen a year ago, housing market activity remains slightly above pre-pandemic levels. Oh, that's a good thing. We need it below though, but we're almost there. Isn't that great? Comment below. Isn't that great? It's great. It's great. That, coupled with the lack of existing homes comes on the market, is likely causing builders to reconsider whether or not to stay on the sidelines. That money is calling them, you guys. That greed is just in their air, talking. What if the Fed pivots? We need to have houses, right? We need to have houses. Who cares about the quality of construction, right? Do you guys know how many reviews that I went through? Oh my gosh, I haven't found any great reviews yet. I mean, it's just crazy. The lack of good reviews is unbelievable. While it takes longer to build these days due to stubbornly high construction costs, materials supply disruptions, and labor shortages, the recent uptick in housing demand could be what's supporting builder confidence. We can kind of guarantee that. The January bottom in housing starts came after long-term interest rates, including mortgage rates, neared a 4-month low. The increase in new construction highlights how sensitive the housing sector is to interest rates. And that is absolutely correct. Our housing market is super sensitive to interest rates. But this is still a look in the rearview mirror. Recent stress to our financial system, inflation concerns, and the Federal Reserve's next moves will likely have an outsized impact on whether this rebound in new building activity continues. So obviously what we have here is we have the new home builders basically gambling once again that buying demand is going to come flooding back into the housing market. But again, I keep trying to point out to anyone that will listen at this point, when fundamentals are broken, okay, usually that means something's going to break. Fundamentals in the housing market are broken. Generally, what that's going to mean is it's going to break. How is it broken? A couple things. Number one, equity growth going up roughly 30 to 40% in 2 to 2.5 years is not going to work. That's number one. Number two, things are way too unaffordable. The fact that in roughly 2 years, mortgage payments per month went up $1,000, that's not going to work because it does not match wage and income growth. So it stands to reason that right now, home values are completely maxed out. And if we as buyers would just step back for a minute and let the housing market reset, we would be able to get through this pain a lot sooner and, in my opinion, a lot more effectively. But regardless, you guys, let's access some Fred economic data charts so I can give you an overall idea of historically what's happening with new construction. Here's the first chart right here. You guys can see this was updated recently, March 16th. And you guys can see it's been kind of going down. It's been kind of going down. And the builders were like, you know what? We were doing pretty good. We did pretty good in January. Home buying demand came back into the market. So let's YOLO, homies. And they just started this again. They started construction again. I can't wait to start hitting these metro areas again, you guys. I'm about to go to California. I got to knock out California, and I know I still have to do Texas. I just ran out of time to do Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio again. I will do that again, but you guys can see here from this historical data chart that starts are actually pretty high. And if we look, they're actually as high almost as high as it was pre-COVID. So not as high as like at the peak. Here's the peak right here, April 2022, but it is shooting back up. And that does mean that they will be more exposed depending on the market, right? Now look at this lovely thing, monthly supply of new homes in the United States. So right now, even though we have 7.9 months of inventory, which makes it a buyer's market, we need 6 months or more for the market to be considered a buyer's market. So despite them having so much inventory, 7.9 months of inventory, they have decided to make even more inventory. Is that not shocking to you? And let's look back. This is just the 5-year. And as you can see, the amount of inventory we have right now, shocking. Let me show you guys the 10-year. So in the last 10 years, again, way more. In fact, pre-COVID, we were at about 5 to 6 months, pretty much 5. Do you see that? All normal right here, about 5 months. And right now we're at 7.9, way up here. But not only that, you guys, total units under construction, look at this, remained flatlined since June 2022, which means they're not slowing down the pace of construction. This is Fred economic data, new privately owned housing units that are actually being built right now. So, again, we do want them to continue to build, but we don't want them to continue to build overpriced houses, and that's what they're doing. But I just wanted to point out, ever since the beginning of 2022, this has been skyrocketing upward. And then quantitative tightening happened here, and it's just basically went sideways. So there really is, from what I can see, there is no hedging against a downturn with new home builders. This is crazy, crazy. Let me go to the 10-year. Look at this. Just straight up. Look, boom, just skyrocketed, skyrocketed, skyrocketed. Quantitative tightening happened, and it's just still staying the same. It's still staying the same. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think that they're trying to distract us. I think they want us to go purchase houses. But the reality is the only reason why these home builders, the cat's not out of the bag yet with these new home builders and their stocks aren't plummeting and things of that nature, they still had price declines and incentives in their pocket. Remember, they took all that away from us, but they're selling right now. They're selling these houses right now because they're offering crazy price cuts, paying closing costs, and insane rate buy downs. You guys know that, right? You guys know the only reason they're selling these houses is the insane buying incentives, right? Like we call it on this channel. But that's what's going on here. If you take those incentives out, they're dead in the water. And here's the thing, guys, what we really need to see, we do need to see more inventory, but we need to see prices down. And generally, new home building will lead that. And I'm already starting to see that in my local housing market. I'm starting to see new home builders list their houses for under used or resale home value. When that happens, that's going to be good because it's going to, well, when it happens in large amounts, right? I'm only saying this a little bit. I'm not saying it like as a national trend per se. I'm seeing it in certain pockets and only on a little bit of their inventory. Once that really solidifies in this housing market, that new construction is actually going to be cheaper than used homes. That's when we're going to have an even bigger price decline. And I think that's when really the fear hits out. I think that happens when we have our confirmed recession and our Fed pivot. So if you're on the sidelines, if you're barely hanging on and you're like, when do I buy? Listen, no one has a crystal ball, but in my opinion, we should wait at least till after the confirmed recession, till after the Fed pivot, because we'll probably get lower interest rates, until after the summer and spring inventory dump. Right? So Q3 of this year, at least wait to Q3 of this year, unless you can find an amazing deal right now that has plenty of wedge and plenty of cash flow. But all I'm saying, guys, is that is remaining increasingly difficult. Keep your eyes on new home builders because the reality is, and in my opinion, new home builders are actually going to control and start the trends in our housing market. Mark my words, but time will tell. Now, other than that, guys, I really hope you guys got some new insights, perspective, and value. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.